The voices drifted from the living room like smoke, sharp, cold, and suffocating. I don't want her in the pictures, my mother hissed from the hallway. She'll ruin the vibe, Chelsea added with a laugh. She can stay in the kitchen, or better yet, stay out of sight altogether. I stood barefoot on the cold tiles, holding a platter of fruit I'd just arranged for their 30th wedding anniversary, a celebration I wasn't invited to. Just staff. In my own childhood home, my hands trembled, not from the weight of the tray, but from the sting of betrayal. They didn't know I was there, too busy adjusting centerpieces, too busy pretending we were still some picture-perfect family, too busy brushing me off like a stain on their polished reputation. I slid the tray onto the counter, turned, and walked out the back door without a sound. That night, I booked a vacation to Key West. First class, ocean view suite, all-inclusive, paid with money they didn't know I had. No note, just silence and a turned-off phone. On day one, I posted a photo, me in a white silk wrap dress standing on a yacht, wine in hand. The caption, "Stay out of sight? Sure, I'll stay out of the country." 17 minutes later, my cousin messaged, "OMG, are you really not coming? Your mom's freaking out." I sipped my wine and replied, "Didn't get the invite." Remember? By nightfall, my inbox was chaos. Accusations, panic, drama. They were unraveling without me. Power outage during the slideshow. Band never showed. Planner, quit. Mom slipped in front of the photographers. Chelsea spilled wine on the cake. Uncle Ray stormed out with half the guests, but the best message came from my father. "Please just come home. Your mother's praying." We shouldn't have said that. We were wrong. I stared at the screen. The same man who once told me, "You're just a background character. Be grateful we feed you," was now begging me to return. I didn't reply. Instead, I posted another photo, this time lounging by the infinity pool. It's peaceful when no one tells you to dim your light. The views climbed. Comments poured in. People I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly remembered my name. They went from "stay out of sight" to "please come back," but they had no idea who I'd become while they were too busy favoring Chelsea and chasing cocktail party clout. While they laughed behind my back, I was building something quietly, working to jobs, teaching myself, investing. Every "you'll never make it" became fuel, and now I had enough power to flip their perfect little world upside down. The morning after their party collapsed, I stood at the gates of the very house I grew up in. A Range Rover waited at the curb. The lawyer beside me scrolled through final paperwork. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked. I looked up at the window, same curtains, same doorbell chime, same front steps where I once sat grounded for asking to go to art school. "I've never been more sure." He handed me the pen. I signed. See, what they didn't know was that while they were planning their big event, they were also quietly trying to sell the house. Taxes were bleeding them dry. The bank was threatening closure. But to keep their image perfect, they told no one. Just listed it under a shell name, hoping for a fast buyer, fast cash. They didn't expect the buyer to be me. They didn't expect me to have the cash in hand, and they definitely didn't expect me to close the deal the day after their failed anniversary party. By 2:00 p.m., the house was legally mine. By to 30, movers were rolling up. I didn't knock. I walked right in. My mother stood in the living room, disheveled, sipping cold coffee in the same dress from last night. Her heels were off, her mascara smudged. The chaos from the ruined party still lingered. She turned, startled. "Lena, what are you doing here?" I dropped the keys on the table. She blinked. "Where did you get those?" Before I could answer, Dad stormed in from the kitchen. "You've got some nerve showing up here after that stunt you pulled online. That vacation post real mature." I smiled softly. It was, and I needed the rest. I was working late nights trying to process a real estate deal. Mom scoffed. "We're not in the mood for your passive-aggressive digs, Lena." "Good," I said, "because this isn't passive. It's very, very direct." I pulled the folder from my tote and placed it gently on the table. Dad frowned, flipping it open. His face went pale. "What is this?" Chelsea entered next, on her phone, and froze when she saw me. "Oh wow, look who finally decided to show her face." "I never left," I said. "I just elevated." She rolled her eyes. "Please? You're still the girl who lived in the basement and folded towels like a maid." Dad was still staring at the folder. This is a property deed for this address. Why is your name on it?" "Because," I said slowly, savoring the moment, "I bought it." Chelsea laughed. "You bought this house with what? Your Etsy shop?" I turned to her with a calm smile. with shares in a logistics tech startup. The same one you mocked me for joining 3 years ago. I was employee number 5. She stopped laughing. Mom stepped forward, voice trembling now. You're lying. This house was listed privately. I know. I made an offer anonymously. Full price in cash yesterday. Silence. Dead. Heavy. Thick. Dad's face went red. You can't do this. This is our house. Not anymore. I could see it in their eyes, the panic. Because this wasn't just about a house. This was their last piece of control. Their stage. Their reputation. Chelsea stepped toward me now, her voice pitched high. Okay, so what now? You kick us out. Just to prove some petty point. I stared at her calm and still. I don't have to kick you out. The paperwork already gave you a 48-hour window to vacate. Mom gasped. You're actually doing this. You told me to stay out of sight. I whispered. So I did. I disappeared. I grew. I built something. And now I'm just taking back what you never valued. The lawyer entered with a clipboard. Final walkthrough completed. Movers are ready to start when you give the word. I nodded. Downstairs, chaos erupted. Chelsea shouted. Dad called someone. Mom cried. But I didn't flinch, because I wasn't the background anymore. I was the headline, and they were finally starting to read the story I'd written in silence. Later that night, the house was quiet, empty, mine. I sat at the kitchen counter, sipping tea in peace, and when my phone buzzed, it wasn't a begging message. It was a notification. The post I made of me holding the deed, standing on the front steps, had gone viral. Thousands were cheering, because somewhere, they'd been the Lena in their story. 2 weeks later, the house was different. Lighter, no more heavy footsteps, no more whispers, no more why can't you be more like your sister. I redecorated slowly, room by room, not to erase the memories, but to reclaim them. The beige walls painted soft teal. The stiff couch is gone, replaced with warmth, with life. And then came the letter, certified mail, gold trim, Chelsea's handwriting. An invitation. Family reconciliation dinner. 6:00 p.m. sharp. I stared at the words for a long time. It wasn't guilt that made me consider going. It was curiosity. Did they really want to apologize? Or were they just scared of how far I'd risen? I wore a deep green dress. Elegant, confident, hair sleek, no makeup tricks. Just me. When I stepped into Andrea's home, every head turned. Chelsea was the first to speak. You look different. Success will do that to you, I said, taking a seat at the head of the table. Andrea had saved it for me. Dad cleared his throat. Lena, we all made mistakes. We know that. Do you? I asked. Or do you just hate that I didn't stay small like you expected? He blinked. Mom looked away. Chelsea tried to smile. We just want to move forward as a family. Let's forget the past. Yeah, I leaned forward. You mean forget the part where you called me a maid at your bridal shower? Or where Mom told me to hide during her anniversary party? Their faces paled. Andrea, bless her, didn't interrupt. She just watched proud, like this was long overdue. I'm not angry anymore, I continued. Anger got me here, but now I'm just done letting people rewrite the story when they only read the parts they like. Chelsea folded her arms. So what, Lena? You're just cutting everyone off? No, I said. I'm setting boundaries. And if that means some people can't cross them, that's on them. Mom's voice cracked. I still can't believe you bought the house. That was my choice. And the smartest decision I ever made. Then Dad said something I didn't expect. I'm proud of you. Everyone looked at him, even Chelsea. He continued slowly. I don't like how it happened. I don't like being out of control. But you did what none of us expected. You stood up. You made it on your own. And that deserves respect. For a second, I saw something in his eyes. Maybe regret. Maybe understanding. Maybe both. Dinner was tense, but quiet after that. They didn't get the reaction they hoped for, but they got the one they needed. When I left, Andrea walked me to the door. You're the storm they never saw coming, she whispered. I smiled. I was always the quiet one. They just thought that meant I was weak. The next morning, I got a message from a girl I didn't know. I saw your story on TikTok, the one where you bought your parents' house. You have no idea how much that meant to me. Thank you for showing women like us that we can reclaim what they tried to take. There were hundreds of messages like that, strangers, survivors, daughters, people who had been the black sheep, the punchline, the outcast, people who were told to shrink. And now they were learning to stand tall because I had. Weeks later, I hosted my own dinner. not a party, not for status, just a simple gathering of people who saw me. Andrea, my old college roommate, the startup founder I worked with, my assistant, a couple of neighbors who'd offered a hand when I moved in. We sat around the reclaimed oak table. Yes, that table. We laughed, shared stories, passed wine and dessert and joy, and in that moment, I realized I didn't need their approval anymore, because I'd finally approved of myself. The phone rang later that night. Chelsea again. I didn't answer, not out of spite, but because I no longer needed to explain my worth to people who never bothered to see it. I stood by the window, the lights of the neighborhood twinkling beyond the garden. Same view, different woman, the girl they told to stay out of sight. She didn't just come back, she came back owning the stage. What would you do in this situation? Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every single one.